Hey everybody, this is Dan. Just wanted to do a video today on the concept of myofascial release and the basic fundamentals that you need to know in order to apply myofascial release techniques to yourself. So this is going to be the first in a series of videos intended to give you guys the basic fundamental techniques that you need to know in order to treat yourselves. So I realized making the past couple videos that I made that these kind of massage and bodywork techniques are are only known to body workers, and they're not really understood by the general public. And due to the current circumstances, you guys need to know this stuff if you're going to be able to treat yourselves. So again, today's video is going to be on myofascial release. And just to break down that term, myo means muscle and fascial refers to your fascia, which is a connective tissue that basically forms the scaffolding for your entire body. So it acts like a saran wrap that wraps up your muscles, your organs. It forms the structure that your nerves and your blood vessels rest within. So if I were to snap my fingers and make all of the tissues in my body disappear except for my fascia, you would see a complete, accurate representation of my muscles, my organs, everything in this kind of shell of fibrous fascial connective tissue. And it even penetrates down to the cellular level, and scientists are finding out more and more about it all the time. And it's got some really interesting properties. One of the properties it has that's really interesting is called thixotropy. So thixotropy is a term that's used to refer to a substance that is more or less solid at its resting state, but then loses viscosity and becomes more fluid as you apply a shearing force to it. So the classic example of that being ketchup. So if you've ever tried to pour ketchup out of a glass bottle, you notice that you turn the bottle over and ketchup doesn't pour very well out of the bottle. It kind of stays stuck until you do the classic trick, which is to hold the bottle at an angle and then to tap the 57 at a certain angle. And what that does is that creates a shearing force inside the bottle to the molecules of the ketchup and allows them to then change their actual state, become less viscous, and then allows the ketchup to flow smoothly out of the bottle. So essentially that's what you're going to be doing with myofascial release. So basically all we're going to be doing is we're going to be applying a little bit of pressure to the tissues, but then also a shearing force. And you can see here in this tensegrity model is when you apply the shearing force, you can see these wood particles slide better around each other, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing to the fascia today with these myofascial release techniques. So I'm going to start on my arm by demonstrating on my forearm. You can do this anywhere on your body. Really helps to find an area that feels kind of tight and restricted. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to test. So you're just going to take your fingertips, the pads of your fingers, place them on the skin across the area that you want to treat, and you're going to apply a little bit of pressure, and then you're just going to drag the skin along and test in different directions and just see how well the skin and specifically the underlying tissue moves and slides across those different layers. So as I apply pressure and I go up and I go back and I go side to side, I can feel that I have a lot of play side to side, not so much going backwards and definitely not so much going forward. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingertips, apply pressure again, and I'm going to apply this shearing force. I'm just kind of applying this pressure up towards my wrist as I apply a little bit of downward pressure. And you might not be able to see it on the video, but my hand is actually moving very slowly, and it's not because it's moving across the actual skin. It's moving because the underlying fascia and connective tissue is releasing. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to press in, breathe into it, just kind of relax into it, and then find that sweet spot where you're just applying pressure and you're letting that steady pressure change the underlying tissue and change the fascia from more of that solid state into a less viscous state where it kind of flows freely and then it releases. And you're holding this for a good 30 to 60 seconds, maybe even 90 seconds, just waiting until you feel that release in the tissue, and then you can move to a different spot and do it again. So that's myofascial release. Hope you guys found that useful, and stay tuned for the next video because we got a lot more.